A very warm welcome to you all, and thanks for coming to this webinar, Stories from the Field, Tagging Saiga Antelope on the Kazakh Steppe, with the teams from the Altyn Dala Conservation Initiative. I'm Alistair Scott, I'm the Executive Director of the Global Rewilding Alliance, and I'll be chairing today's event. I'm delighted that we have this chance to share some of the inspiring work of the Altyn Dala Conservation Initiative, to delve into this incredible wildlife restoration story and talk about the important work of Saiga tagging. These amazing and extraordinary looking animals nearly went extinct 20 years ago, but with the help from our rewilding friends, have made a remarkable recovery, now numbering over 2.5 million in number. Today, we will be delving into how this incredible result has been achieved and finding out the central role of collecting accurate data about these animals and their movements. It has been said that this is possibly the world's most successful mammal recovery. Altyn Dala is led by the Association for the Conservation of Biodiversity of Kazakhstan, otherwise known as ACBK, with financial and technical assistance from Fauna and Flora, Frankfurt Zoological Society, and the RSPB, the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, which is a British-based organization, in partnership with the government of Kazakhstan. We'll say a bit more about this in a moment, but first I'd love to introduce our three speakers. Alyona Krivosheyeva is ACBK's Conservation Director.
Hi, Alistair.
Great. Do you want to just give a wave, Alyona, so people know your face? Yeah, that's great. Okay. And secondly, Albert Salemgareev, who is the ACBK's leading Saiga Antelope Specialist. Albert, do you want to wave and say hello to people? Great. Thank you.
Hello.
And finally, Steffen Zuther is Research Fellow and Project Manager at Frankfurt Zoological Society. Steffen, are you there? Yes, brilliant. Wonderful. So just in a short while, we'll be watching a short new film that gives us a glimpse into the field work, for which we must give huge credit to Andrei Ivanov, videographer at Frankfurt Zoological Society, for the video, and Stephanie Ward, International Coordinator of Altyn Dala, for both the video and for dreaming up this whole event. I'm just going to give about a 3-minute introduction to the Global Rewilding Alliance and where I think we are in the growth of the global rewilding movement. If you imagine for a moment that there are 5 stages in the rewilding movement, with stage 5 being mainstream. So can we imagine a world where rewilding is a mainstream approach in policy, in science, and in practice on the ground? So on your screen, you'll see 5 stages of the rewilding movement, which we've dreamed up. So stage 5 is mainstreaming, and at the other end of the scale, stage 1 was invention. So the word rewilding was invented in the 1990s, and the rest of that decade was sort of about inventing what this movement would do, thinking big, not accepting that nature always has to retreat into smaller and smaller areas, and really questioning this sort of approach that basically said that we need to do conservation and look after small patches, and saying that's not enough. It's not enough for the genetic diversity. It's not practically feasible. It's expensive, and so on. So rewilding has this bigger vision. Then between about 2000 and 2020 is the experimentation stage. And of course, the Altyn Dala Conservation Initiative was started about 20 years ago. And this experimentation stage was when rewilders learnt how to bring back animals that had gone missing from ecosystems, learnt how to do rewilding at scale. And we now, on the back of these last 30 years, we have a high degree of confidence and learning that we know how to do rewilding in many cases. Of course, there's still learning to be done, but this experimentation stage gives us the confident platform to then start preparing for global scaling, which is stage 3, which is where I think we are today. And if stage 4 is the sort of hockey stick bit of the S-curve where we go exponential, our role today is to think about how we scale and how we create a 10x or a 20x increase in our rewilding. So I've been fascinated by exponential change for the last 30 years of my life. I've written a book on making big change happen, and I've been very inspired by this book here, which is called Exponential Organizations. And also there's another one which is like a workbook, which is informing our work at the Global Rewilding Alliance. And both of these books put data central to how you create exponential change. And that's the link to then this webinar today and the film, which is the Altyn Dala Conservation Project have put data central to their work. A couple of words about the Global Rewilding Alliance. We were formed 4.5 years ago to catalyze the global rewilding movement. And we have sort of 4 roles in a way. We're catalyzing, we coordinate, we communicate the work of amazing organizations like today's organization, and we convene, we pull together groups to work on things like how do you rewild wetlands, how do you rewild grasslands and rangelands. And we are an alliance today. It's 253 organizations around the world, influencing the rewilding of about 2.2 million square kilometers. That's about the equivalent of half of the land area of the United States and twice that amount in the ocean, so about 5 million square kilometers. So these are big numbers. You know, we already, again, this speaks to the stage that we're at in the rewilding movement. We have confidence, we have scale, and now we need to have the imagination to think big so that we can do even more in the next 10, 20 years. One of the things I love about the Altyn Dala team is they think big and they use data. The size of the Altyn Dala project is 74 million hectares. So that's about the size of the country of Turkey. It's an incredible kind of vision to rewild this whole area. So you're really in the presence of some legends of the rewilding movement. They won one of the Earthshot prizes last year. A huge celebration all around the movement. And so without further ado, let's get on and watch the film, and then we'll move into a Q&A with our wonderful guests. May, do you want to start the video?
When we come up with the idea to the satellite telemetry program, of course, we was really concerned what kind of methods we will use. Many people actually use some drugs to tranquilize and then put the course, but Saiga is quite sensitive species, and we don't know how they will be affected by the drugs. And another problem that in Kazakhstan we don't have so many different drugs which you can use for wildlife animal. And then we actually learn some techniques from Mongolia, that they also use a net. And also there's a previous method in Soviet time where the use was harvesting also the net, but it was fixed at one place. And then we actually modified this method and we said, yeah, okay, because we don't know where the Saiga and where exactly you have to put. And then we said, okay, probably we will use a mobile net, just a short, not a long, and we use a motorbike and vehicles. And also we try just to chase them as much as we can. At the moment we got the coordinate position of Saiga location. It's actually quite precise because we use the satellite tags, and now I would take these coordinates and put in my GPS, and then we will follow and try to find this Saiga and try to estimate in the field. We define for us that the chasing time will be 4 minutes and the handling time will be not more than 4 minutes. This our techniques we still use since 2009, and since that time we already captured for this method more than 500 animals.
Работа с АСБК мне дала возможность, наверное, развиваться в плане езды, позитив, жизнь, свобода, их свобода, моя.
В данный момент мы занимаемся установкой ошейников. Это потом поможет нам в дальнейшем, то есть изучать сайгу, ее миграцию, инфраструктурные объекты, где сейчас тоже новые строятся. Как бы и человеку было комфортно, и животным было комфортно.
Why don't we do a bit of introduction from you, Alyona, and you, Albert, and Steffen, about the background to the film and your work. Alyona, would you like to introduce ACBK and your work and the background to the film?
Thank you very much, Alistair. So yes, me and Albert, we are working in ACBK. I have been working personally in ACBK for 10 years, and I have started to work with Saiga Antelope, and I'm continue working with Saiga. So ACBK was founded in 2004 And during all of this time, it has grown into the largest national biodiversity conservation NGO in Kazakhstan. And I'm really delighted to be here to present ACBK and our work. As you mentioned, Altyn Dala Conservation Initiative is one of the biggest initiative within ACBK. It's not a project, it is initiative with wider partnership, national and international. So on the national level, our main partner is the government of Kazakhstan, represented by the Committee for Forestry and Wildlife. And we also have international partners who helped us a lot with expertise and financially and in different aspects of our work. And this is Fauna and Flora, Frankfurt Zoological Society, and the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds. The Altyn Dala Conservation Initiative started 20 years ago. This year is our 20th anniversary. And the aim was to help restore the globally important underprotected steppe ecosystems across Kazakhstan. And Saiga antelope was chosen as our flagship species. And as you mentioned, yes, this is a very significant amount of hectares that our initiative covers. This is really 75 million hectares. But this is about Saiga range. In Kazakhstan, we have 3 Saiga populations, and this is the territory where Saiga inhabits. But we collided with one issue in 1990s, and then kind of 10 years later, following the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Saiga populations dramatically decreased in Kazakhstan and around the world as a result of unregulated poaching and illegal trade of Saiga horns, which were valued in several Asian countries for traditional medicine. And within this context, in 2005, the Altyn Dala Conservation Initiative was formed to help to recover Saiga population. And our work really started with the data, because this is the baseline for all work of different projects and initiatives around the world. And we try to understand how to begin, what to begin with. And that was very important step that we started to develop this methodology of Saiga capturing and telemetry to use this data to influence our next steps and to make a plan what to do and how to do. And about Saiga coloring process and telemetry data, I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Albert Salemgareev, who is the leading specialist in ACBK and who has been working with Saiga for also more than around 20 years and with the coloring from the very beginning. So Albert.
Hello everybody again, and yeah, my name is Albert. I'm working for ACBK. As Alyona already told you, it's close to 20 years, and I started to work with telemetry program with the Steffen in 2019, and a few minutes later you will see the video which will be show our work with satellite collage of the Saiga antelopes. And as I already said, since 2019, ACBK, together with national and international partners, has been collecting data to understand how Saiga move and his migration pattern, which was really crucial for us, especially when the Saiga population was really low, and we actually need to have really real data to make some like conservation measures to restore the species. And the collars we fitted previous years helped us learn about the migration and better protected them. So far we have attached over 250 transmitters to the Saiga, and this program is still ongoing. And since that time, I mean since 2019, we improve our capture method. But in general, we didn't change completely method, but we just make some really smooth, just to reduce the stress for this Saiga. And recently, I mean, like 2 weeks ago, we started to integrate or like initiate a new tax, which is not for the adult, I guess, but for the foals. We put several ear tags, satellite ear tags, which is our new approach. And in this year we just test this approach because we are looking for receiving some new methods which will be less stress for the Saiga, because for the coloring we always need to catch the animals, and in our methods which we are not using any drugs for sedation or for anesthesia, but our idea was just to do this as quick as possible to reduce any stress, and the animals can easily recover for the capturing. Yeah, and this video actually will be describe everything, and after that we can just yeah, come with any questions. Yeah, so what I also want to say that the Saiga telemetry data gave us scientific evidence to support the establishment and expansion of the protected areas and conserved areas in Kazakhstan, and we actually has several examples. For example, in 2014 we established new protected areas, and the Saiga telemetry data was as one of the crucial data to create this. And this area, the size is 500,000, and also later on we extend existing protected areas another 500,000. Yeah, and actually this data is vital for us just to see how they move and what the area are really important for them. So yeah, and also one of the important things that the Saiga telemetry data was critical to help us understand the barrier to Saiga migration within the landscape and advocate for the removal or changes in its construction. So, and also one of a fresh I would say example, those data, telemetry data was contributed for the global atlas migration corridors, which you can also learn and see on the CMS and Convention Migratory Species website as well. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Albert. Steffen, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, hello everyone. So Albert already explained what the data has been used for, and we try to even use it more to understand the movements of Saiga and to mitigate especially barriers for migration, but understand which are the main corridors for Saiga movements and which are the areas which they really need to come from their summering areas to winter areas. Saiga move throughout the year many thousands of kilometers, and it's important for them to survive. And that's why it's so relevant for us to get this data and understand where they actually go. So when we started with the project, we didn't know anything about them. And we didn't know where they lived and which areas they used. And now we have quite good insight into their annual movement cycle. And this helps us to then help to guide rangers to the places where actually protection is needed from poaching, but also to help the government in planning the infrastructure which is supposed to be developed in a way that it doesn't harm Saiga. And this is a very important outcome of our work. Excellent. On top of protected areas planning and such things.
Yes. Very good. It's an amazing film. 3 things stood out for me. I don't know if any of you have tried to clip a dog's nails. You know, like the most simple bit of care for a pet dog, but it can be incredibly challenging. The dog's trying to bite you, and it's impossible to hold this, you know, like in our case, tiny little dog down, and here they are catching an animal that can run faster than a passenger train. It's just a remarkable achievement, and to have done this 500 times, just amazing. I love the moment when the motorbike guy says, "This has helped me to develop my riding skills." It's like, yeah, I bet. And just that moment, you know, when they're holding down the Saiga antelope and you see that beautiful proboscis, this incredible animal that looks like something from Star Wars. Um, I mean, just even on the sort of very basics of this animal, you know, most people are not aware of the existence of this type of creature on the planet. So it may be worth even just in the Q&A going back to some of the very basics of why does the animal have a proboscis and that sort of thing. I'd like to sort of just ask a very basic question about the technology. What kind of technology is there in the collars and how does it work? So for the tracking.
The collars used for the Saiga research typically incorporate with the GPS technology. We receive every day. We receive 2 positions per day, which actually can us have an access to receive this data up to 2.5 years. So and also recently we also have an additional sensor such as an accelerometers, which is also monitor activity patterns and give us comprehensive picture of the animal's behavior and migration.
Wow.
And also they also record the temperature as well. That will also help us understand where the Saiga actually, which temperature they stay.
So the animal's temperature or the external temperature?
It's external.
Okay, amazing. And have you been using the same technology? You mentioned that you've been doing this since 2009. Have you been using the same technology, or is the technology evolving?
You mean technology of the devices, or
Well, the whole kind of way in which you do the tracking.
Yeah, we still use the same technology. We use this satellite collars, but since 2009, we actually tested different collars. I mean, the different companies who are actually producing. So we also use with this solar panels as well, which actually give us like more years to receiving the data and frequently as well. So, and what I already started to talk in earlier that this year we started to test satellite ear tags for the falls as well, which is, I mean, hope we can use in the future because we don't need just to chase the Saiga and and not only use data for the adults, but also for the falls. I mean, from the first day of this birth, and also to see how they just to discover the area.
Right.
And also to see this mortality.
Yeah, so you're able to, with ear tags, so we have a question from Amélie asking about collars and ear tags. So you're now saying that ear tagging is sort of miniaturizing the satellite ability to track them. Is that right? And therefore you can ear tag baby foals before, and therefore not have to chase them and so on.
Yeah, basically we I mean, every year we do this walking transects through the calving site. And also this year we selected one of the like biggest females, and the ear tag itself, the weight, it's about 22 grams, which is actually possible for like attaching for the fall. So yeah, and today in the morning I check again, they still transmit, and then just trying to discover new areas, and then of course they working slowly than adults, but it's obvious because they just training themselves. So yeah, will be our new approach, and also one of advantage that these ear tags have a solar panel, and as long as they charge enough the energy, they send the position. It means we expected that the transmitter will be provide us data not 2.5 years, but more like 6 or 7 years. I mean, almost like a whole life of the Saiga.
Wow, that's amazing. So another exponential technology, the solar, now helping you to do this tracking smaller, less intrusive, etc.
Yeah, because the collars are also a disadvantage because they have only like battery, and then can stay only 2.5 years, which is also limited, and then we need to capture more and more Saiga.
And do the collars drop off after a while, or?
And then we need just to collect them and do some operation like replace the battery and then capture Saiga and again, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
So
it's still like there's this telemetry system, as you know, they're still quite expensive, and it's not many company, I mean, who can produce really good quality. Yeah.
yes, okay. So a question that is one of the reasons for holding this webinar comes from Roger, which is that catching the Saiga looks very stressful for the animals. So why are you not using tranquilizer guns or other techniques? And you know, this is the reason why we wanted to hold this webinar, is to be open about you know, about the methods that are being used to achieve these outcomes. It's almost certainly true that there is some stress involved for the animals, but we wanted to show the process. Do any of you have an answer for Roger's question on stress and tranquilizer guns and alternative methods?
I can answer maybe.
Thanks,
So
Steffen.
we have a tranquilizer gun in ACBK, but we haven't used them for Saiga because you actually cannot approach them as close as is needed for such a gun. And that's why we developed this different method to catch Saiga. And we have this, as shown in the video, we have a strict time limit to reduce stress. And if we don't manage to catch Saiga in this 4-minute time period, then we just let the Saiga go and they live on very happily, but without a collar. But if we manage to catch them in 4 minutes, then we have another 4 minutes with the eyes covered to handle the animal, and then we need to release it. And all this time, we also watch the body condition, especially body temperature. And as soon as we see that the animal is too stressed, we also let it go, even without a collar.
So you have some indications of stress, like is it falling or rising temperature, body temperature?
Yes, it's if the temperature gets above a certain limit, then we just release the animal because it can cause damage to the body of the animal. Yeah. And we want to strictly avoid that. So in terms of success rate, so for the animals we collared, we can really say that our method is really, really soft and harmless for the animal. And compared to other similar projects, I think we are really doing well.
Okay, great. And just a related question from Islaine. Does covering the eyes of the antelope calm them down, keep them calm? Is that the reason why you... I mean, I certainly know from handling animals that the worst thing you can do is let them wriggle and so on. You know, it's almost less stressful for them to really dominate them and hold them down. So is that the same sort of philosophy and covering the eyes?
Yeah, that helps perfectly. So they almost don't move when you cover the eyes. And are really surprised at the end of the whole procedure when we remove the cover and they stand in the step with a collar around the neck and they don't even understand what happened. So it's a really essential component of the whole method and avoids stress to a large extent.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I'm just looking.
Can I also add something? Just
yes, please, Albert.
So yeah, we also, I mean, our methods, it's we do this into late autumn when it's cool weather and when there's new foals already growing and can run also proper like adults one. Because in the summer you can't do this because of the hot weather, because the temperature, body temperature will increase, and of course the stress level will be also increased. So yeah, and last, I mean, like when we started this method, of course, every year we improve our skills, and also for motorbiker just to reduce this catching, and the people who actually handling the animal, they're always like a silent, nobody talking, on the one person can just do managing, which is also reduce the stress for the animals. Yeah. So, and and we also everything we do this gently. And we only use one drug. It's just some vitamins or just for recovering the animals after when we release them. Yeah. And the reason why we didn't started to use the drugs, because in the beginning we didn't, I mean, for the antelope itself, it's quite difficult to find any like specific drugs, because they are so sensitive. And in Kazakhstan, when we started, it was difficult to obtain or legalize any like suitable drugs for this. And then that is why we choose this method, which was used in Mongolia, and also when in Soviet time the people did the harvesting, they also used the soft net. And then we just to a little bit changed our approach. We didn't use the fixed nets, but we used the mobile net. Yeah.
And this is an amazing example of rewilders learning from each other around the world. So you learned from people in Mongolia. How did you come across their work?
Well, it's come up with one of like a conference and some papers we just to learn about this. But of course, we didn't use like like completely 100%, but we just made some how to say it's adjustment modification how we can do this, especially prevent this stress level. We use like a car and motorbike. We just follow. I mean, the car follow the motorbike as long as they are just to take one animals. We are stop and stretching the net. And we just make a short distance between the motorbiker with the Saiga and the car itself. And that's for the motorbikers, it's easier them just to manual and put them to the net. Usually they we always put the nets on the right side of the car, and the motorbiker do the circle as a spiral, like a path, and then us and waiting on the animals.
Yeah.
Come to the net.
It's another example of incredible innovation that's going on in the rewilding movement. And certainly, one of our aspirations as the Alliance is to encourage and enable learning between organizations. So we now have our rangelands and grasslands group where about a dozen organizations are coming together to talk about how they are going about rewilding rangelands, because you're facing similar challenges no matter which continent you're on. So it's a great example of that. We have lots of other questions coming in. I think we've dealt with Nandia's one about how long the ear tags last. Yes, Uruj asks, does this technology offer avenues for community interactions and engagement, or enabling coexistence with the Saiga? Who'd like to take that? The sort of the community side of this. Are we getting the community involved, or does it enable that kind of thing? Would you like to take that, Alyona?
Yeah, I would like to talk a little bit about this human-wildlife coexistence, let's say, because this question was raised around, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago, when the Saiga numbers started to grow, to increase with the kind of stable percentage each year. And we understood that Saiga has the way of recovery. And some conflicts between Saiga and local farmers started to begin, and now there are kind of the more Saiga in Kazakhstan, the more voices from some people, from some farmers we hear. But what we can say definitely, this is kind of a new issue for us, and we are establishing different projects to understand the real cause of this issue. Is it really Saiga caused some damages, or this is combination of different factors that affect local farmers? And using, for example, Saiga telemetry is very important for us to understand where Saigas are and how they move, and whether there are some farmlands, rangelands, haylands, or croplands there. Trying to assess how Saiga can influence, in each landscape it can be very different, and the cause of issue is very different. And also with the growing of numbers of Saiga, we need to install more and more collars to see how these herds move, and which lands are affected in which parts of the population, to help the government to develop and adopt the methodology of evaluating this harm from the Saiga, or and with the input of other factors, which are also very important in this case. And we don't want to talk really about kind of conflicts. We see this is as a coexistence, because we will have Saiga and we want to have Saiga, and everyone in Kazakhstan really want to have Saiga in their lands, in our lands. This is our legacy, and we would like to, we feel that our commitment between our children and all the generations to save the species. But of course, people and local people and farmers also matters, and for us as a conservationists, and that's why we are working to help the government establish the methodology how to evaluate or assess the damage caused by Saiga, in which areas, in which extent, just try to develop measures for coexistence, not to just to reduce the Saigas, or that Saiga should go away from these farmlands. This is not possible, really. And we're trying to use different methods, and telemetry is just one kind of small step toward this process.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Alyona. And we have another question from Emmanuel saying, considering how difficult it can be to control poaching pressure, how are you able to manage poaching pressure while tracking the Saiga? And I guess the temptation for poaching will increase as the numbers of the Saiga increase. But maybe as you're intimating that the identity of Kazakh people is moving towards a feeling of care and identification with the Saiga. I don't know. Be interesting to see. What's happening with the poaching situation, Alyona?
So the government made, from the very beginning, when the Saiga numbers was very low, so government made very important, crucial steps to improve the situation. And first of all, they increased the number of governmental rangers. We have a specialized agency, protection agency. They are in charge of protection of red data book animals and Saiga. Saiga has never been included into the Red Book of Kazakhstan. It has always been a kind of hunting species with the moratorium for hunt. And increasing this number of state governmental rangers through this special agency and through creation and expansion of protected areas. How telemetry data influence this process. So really we share the data where Saiga are, and Saiga, they are not going alone. They are usually kind of in a group of animals. They move, and knowing where they are in the particular season or months. So we provide this data to the government, and the rangers can adapt their patrolling routes, because Kazakhstan is a vast area, and there are no always clear where to go to protect Saiga. But if we have collars and it shows that in this place or that place, so this is kind of management patrolling system for the protected area and other governmental agencies. And this has really, really helped a lot. And now the situation with the poaching, it's difficult to say that it's very low, but we definitely can't say it's very high. But yes, as Saiga number grows, some poaching incidents, of course, they happen, but our legislation also was became quite strict to the poachers, and in some important areas, the livelihood and kind of sources of life for local people, they improved. And people do not necessarily need now to poach Saiga for horns, because this is dangerous. They can be imprisoned, they can be fined. So, and they think what to do. And now the Saiga poaching for Saiga horns is mainly kind of organized crime groups that are dealing with this. And this is kind of another question, how to do with this. And we have some project with the fauna and flora, for example, for illegal wildlife trade. combating illegal wildlife trade traffic and CITES implementation, and work with the border service and customs service. So yeah, this is
Thank you.
Interesting question.
Yes. So the small scale poaching isn't so much a worry. The large scale poaching is organized crime, and therefore another reason for the government to get on top of it, because it's likely to be linked to other forms of crime. So you're dealing with people who are just good to get on top of anyway. So that's really interesting. We have time left for final thoughts from Steffen in particular. You haven't talked much, and also Albert, maybe a minute each, and then I'll sum up and we finish on the dot at the top of the hour. Steffen, final thoughts.
Thank you. I think in general, as a main final thought, this whole program of tracking Saiga has been a key element for the Altyn Dala Conservation Initiative to really bring us forward and to achieve the success with Saiga, which we have achieved, and that Saiga is there now in large numbers. So it has helped to combat poaching, to establish new protected areas, to mitigate negative impacts of linear infrastructure, and so on and so on. So it's really a key element. Without it, we wouldn't have known what to do actually for Saiga conservation. So I think that's why we are here today and presenting this, because it's so relevant.
Yeah, thanks so much. Albert, final thoughts?
Well, Steffen already covered something about telemetry, but I would like to say that this program is still ongoing, and we still, like, when we're receiving the data, we learn a lot about the Saiga. I mean, I wouldn't say that we have like copy like migration patterns of the Saiga movements. We every year see some new or receive some new data of the movements. Yeah, it's sometimes I mean, you can predict this, and it's really important for us just to continue this program and to address the data, I mean, and our analysis just for the government, and to show how this, I mean, how the importance of this data and how they can support to make mitigation measure for any faces problem for the Saiga. And also would say that we didn't stop to work with the callers, and what I said, we started to use the ear tag, which is a new approach, and then we're also doing some AE stuff. I mean, using the drones and this learning like AE for detecting the Saiga on the images. Yeah, and just
great. So the learning edge keeps going out. So I'd just like to finish by thanking you all for attending, all of the participants, people watching. Thank you to your wonderful participation, Alyona, Albert, and Steffen, and for all of your knowledge and your wisdom. Apologies for the technical hiccup. These things happen despite testing. Thank you to May and the team who bore the stress of that. And really wonderful. I mean, you know, I think this is a legendary project. This is an absolute icon of rewilding, and such a source of inspiration for all of us who work away behind the scenes every day trying to help nature's recovery on a global scale, as we move from a culture of extraction, really, of extracting from the landscape, of extracting from nature, of killing and literally kind of eating nature, to one of coexistence and thriving into the future. A very different mode, a very different possibility for humanity. So this has been wonderful, and I've greatly enjoyed it. Thank you all, and good luck in your work. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.